Imagine Breath of the Wild, but you're a kid on summer vacation in a small Japanese town, and you have Natsu-mon, 20th century kid, in a nutshell. Though obviously lacking the scope of Breath of the Wild, Natsu-mon has much of its sense of freedom and possibility. Natsu-mon 20th Century Kid is the newest installment in the series known as My Summer Vacation, or Boku No Natsuyasumi. Summer vacation games have sort of become their own genre, which generally focuses on exploring a small Japanese town, catching bugs, going fishing, and making memories with the locals. Natsu-mon, however, pushes this genre forward by incorporating open-world elements and superb platforming, allowing the player to scale the faces of buildings and mountains and swim in the sea to small islands, making use of a fully movable camera in a 3D world. However, Natsu-mon still makes use of the nostalgic aesthetics of the static camera for interior spaces, such as inside the Ashitaba guest house, where Satoru-kun is spending the summer. On the field, players can approach the face of any building or cliff face and simply begin climbing until their stamina meter depletes. By jumping while climbing, the stamina meter depletes more quickly, but may allow the player to latch onto something at the top and pull themselves up. Sprinting or swimming quickly also depletes stamina, which can be permanently increased by completing game tasks like catching fish and bug collecting. The player is able to catch bugs either with their hands by getting close and pressing Y, or with a net by pressing X. Fishing is also available from the start of the game by swimming close to fish and pressing Y to catch them with Satoru's hands, or by using the fishing pole, which can be used at the edges of bodies of water. Running, jumping, climbing, swimming, fishing, and bug collecting are the game's primary activities outside of getting to know the townspeople and helping them out with various tasks, though there are surprises along the way that I'd rather leave unmentioned. To be honest, the game's crowning achievement isn't any kind of groundbreaking gameplay mechanic. The game doesn't even run that well sometimes, especially in town, where the frame rate can get choppy and there are visible pop-ins. Fortunately, this didn't impact my experience because Natsu-mon 20th Century Kid doesn't rely on precision combat or timely platforming. Everything can be done slowly, carefully, and thoughtfully, because the real star of this game is the world itself. Natsu-mon 20th Century Kid is a masterful example of environmental storytelling. This game was constantly taking my breath away as I rounded corners and got treated to an unexpectedly jaw-dropping view of town, or the sparkling sea, or an ancient castle sitting on top of a distant mountain. The world is able to achieve a truly authentic sense of place because of its dynamic use of lighting and sound design. Combine that with very little in-game music, the soundtrack of Natsu-mon is the singing of summer insects in the trees and bushes, or the sloshing of ocean waves. The world is convincing because of these abundant details, like dust clouds hovering over the street, or the shadow of a cloud moving over the sun-baked earth. There's no immediate fast travel mechanic in the game, as it should be, though later the player is able to take the MTR to a neighboring town, or the local bus to any previously discovered bus stops. However, fast traveling doesn't take away from the game's sense of realism, because of the fact that tickets must be purchased in order to use it. Actual fast traveling, as it exists in most games, would eliminate the essential character of realism that makes this game what it is. You only have a limited amount of time each day to accomplish what you want to do. At dinner time, you'll be called home for a meal, and before going to bed, you have another short window of time to go out and explore the town at night. Though if you stay out too late, Satoru sleeps in the next day and misses out on the town's morning exercises, for which you collect participation stamps. If the game had fast traveling, I could have zipped across the world map and done what I needed to do, but because you have to commit to walking everywhere and back, the player needs to make decisions based on time constraints that make each moment of the day feel important. At the same time, this never gave me any rushed feeling. There's no anxiety or time limits. And in fact, I'd even get excited if night came and I hadn't finished all I'd wanted to do. It made me remember that I used to have that feeling as a kid, when you and your friends run home for dinner or bedtime and you agree to meet up with each other the next day to finish what you started. The effect of the game's rich sensory environment is to pull the player into the experience of a moment, the way a haiku does, establishing a time, a place, and a feeling. Sensory experiences like these are practically in the DNA of Japanese culture, and it's common in Japan's literature, film, and animations to draw the viewer's attention to such details as if reminding us to appreciate them. It made me think about one of the happiest periods of my life, when I was briefly a student at a small school in rural Japan. Sadly, that experience eventually came to an end, but at the same time, it's special because it ended. Natsu-mon 20th Century Kid aims to capture that feeling of a nostalgic time that only lasts for a short while. All of this is fleeting, and as I played Natsu-mon, I saw the days of August passing by, and I knew that the end of summer for Satoru-kun was creeping closer. But maybe that's the point of a game like this. You have to enjoy things while they last. Food appreciation is also a common motif of the storytelling mode of experience awareness. You see this a lot in Ghibli films, when the characters sit down to the table to eat, and there are detailed close-ups of the delicious, abundant food.
Abracadabra!
There's a character in town, an old man, who's always lamenting the fact that things have changed. He wishes life would go back to the way it was before. He feels that things were better in the past, that people were nicer and happier. What he fails to realize is how wonderful things are now. As Satoru runs around having the best summer of his life, the old man is wishing to return to the former summers of his own. He's hoping more people come to town and bring it to life again, the way he remembers it being. He doesn't see what's right in front of him, that life is still wonderful, and beautiful things still surround him. Though summers end and time goes on, we, however, can replay Natsu-mon 20th Century Kid. The replayability value is surprisingly high. Every day is a little different, with its own set of events, but you can't be everywhere at once. This tiny little world is full of a huge variety of isolated moments that the player can easily miss or accidentally discover. One man in town who's obsessed with art and philosophy tells us that one day Picasso said that it took him 4 years to learn to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child. I wonder if the writers of this game are trying to tell us something here. Do we spend our whole childhood racing to become adults, only to spend the rest of our lives searching to return to our childhood? Natsu-mon 20th Century Kid is a great family game, sure, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a game for children that's just also fun for adults. It's a game that wants to remind adults of what it feels like to be a child. And in that sense, the game is an incredible success.